Okay.
Hi, thank you so much for joining us on this webinar. This is Connie Zach, and I am the owner of Sunlighten, as well as Sunlight Day Spa. It was a day spa that has our full spectrum infrared therapy sauna, so I can speak to you on the trials and tribulations and successes of having a day spa and adding full spectrum therapy to your facility. We're going to be speaking about how to earn $100,000 in unassisted revenue with full spectrum infrared sauna therapy for the next hour. And Sarah Wickens will be joining us to talk through the commercial applications, and we will map out to make sure you have the path to earn this additional revenue. Very excited to speak to everyone today, and we will now get started with going through some background on Sunlighten, who is the manufacturer of full spectrum infrared therapy. So our company started about 15 years ago, and it started because my brother was chronically ill and could not find any way to cure himself. He was able to finally heal through finding far infrared therapy, which is one of the wavelengths that we use in our own proprietary products today. It was then that we developed a mission to help people try and shift from treating disease to ultimately preventing it so that everyone lives a higher quality of life and healthier lifestyles. Sunlighten is the leader in this wellness space with over 3,000 commercial facilities, and we also have patented and clinically tested technology proven to lower blood pressure, help you lose weight, detoxify, and give pain relief. So why infrared? Well, as you know, as I just mentioned, my brother, it became a mission to help others. But specifically then, once we learned more about the entire infrared spectrum, it's really a way to provide effortless wellness to others who have some type of condition or who ultimately just want to live a healthier life. This wellness space is growing rapidly. 5 years ago, Sunlighten was at that time known as Sunlight Saunas. We had the great privilege to be featured on the Oprah Winfrey Show, and since then, the far infrared specifically category has grown exponentially. We have since then expanded into the full spectrum infrared space, and we have found that it triples the results of what far infrared used to. So that brings us to this wonderful hot spa trend called full spectrum infrared therapy. And I like to say this is the addiction that you feel good about, as your clients will truly become addicted to not only using the full spectrum saunas, but the results and the experience that they have after using it. So full spectrum, what is it real quickly, and then I'll get into the benefits to the spa as well as the client, is it combines all three wavelengths. Some you've probably heard of. You may have heard of near infrared. A lot of places have a type of red light, which is similar, not exactly, but very similar treatments. And then there's mid-infrared, which is a hotter part of the spectrum, and then far infrared, which is the one that we started 15 years ago. For your spa, what is excellent is the sauna never calls in sick. You're never unable to use it because you don't have to have a service provider. So it truly is unassisted revenue with every single session. It's a low-cost investment, but a very significant high return, especially if you add on multiple units. You'll find you'll get your return on investment very quickly. You'll also find that clients will come back to you and you'll retain them due to the fact that you have a full spectrum sauna, because there are clinical benefits and they will notice a big difference in the way they look and they feel. And then also a huge benefit that we found with Sunlight Day Spa is you can attract new customers that you would normally never have, because you have this unique offering. As far as to the clients, 4 of the many benefits that they get is being able to burn up to 600 calories in only 40 minutes while just sitting there and enjoying themselves. They will also be able to detoxify their body at a very deep level, and that comes from the far infrared Sunlighten's unique technology. They'll also be able to lower and reduce their blood pressure, and it is significantly helpful with pain management all over the body. And one of my favorite benefits is being able to find a way to deliver this powerful wavelength called near infrared while you're sitting there inside the sauna. It provides a way to turn over the skin at a rapid rate, as well as helping you lose weight, as well as detoxifying the body. As we like to say, purify the body and the skin will follow. Okay, this is the return on investment slide. Sarah's going to be going deep into detail into this later, but what I do want to provide is my own personal experience in having these products at Sunlight Day Spa, which is, we added originally 1, and we now have 3. And the reason is that you typically have those time slots where you have people who want the same slot. And as well as these are extremely popular for spa parties as well as packages, because you can have your whatever your name of your spa is, like the signature relaxation package, and you can add in a 45-minute full spectrum infrared therapy session and add dollars to the overall package, as well as have enhance your customer's experience. So as far as the numbers, how they break down is if you look at 4 sessions charging $35, this is a low number. I just looked at our books earlier today for today's books, and we have 12 sessions that are booked today on a Monday, and it's a shorter day. So if you take out 1 sauna and you say you just have 2 of the full spectrum, that would leave you with 8 sessions that would be booked we're open from 9 to 4, and that at a our average revenue is $45, which is $360 today if you just added up the 2 sessions. So that would be, and that easily will get you to your $100,000 even at the conservative level, because you also then will have your Fridays and Saturdays where we'll have the products booked all day long. So now if you're thinking, okay, this sounds interesting, how do I decide who a good supplier would be? It's really important that you look at who specializes in this space, right? Who's an expert. It's also important if you're looking at full spectrum to look at, do they have experience in far infrared as well? What's the difference in going into that? The product quality and safety is obviously very important. It is a piece of electrical equipment, so you need to understand who has experience in the commercial space. A lot of the products that are made, especially after we were on the Oprah Winfrey Show, the business really boomed, and a lot of those were built for residential use, so they're not designed for commercial facilities, which you need to make sure you know that for safety reasons. Support for the businesses is really, really important for Sunlighten, for our customers, is we want to be there for you. This is not just a one transaction sale. We want to make sure that we're there for you to support you. I already talked about experience, and of course, helping you with the marketability. If this is your first time learning about this, you may be like, oh my gosh, this sounds really interesting, but how in the world am I going to get the word out? We're here to help. Okay, so here's a little bit about, I've talked some about what is full spectrum, but I want to just take a minute and break down specifically what does each wavelength do, and then also talk about what's available on the marketplace. So the far infrared wavelength down here is the wavelength that is primarily available on the marketplace. That's when you hear about infrared sauna or infrared therapy, it typically is far infrared. And what Sunlighten has been able to do over the past 15 years is a lot of research and development, a lot of clinical trials using our specific heaters. We make our own, so it's something we do ourselves. And we have shown weight loss, we've shown a decrease in waist circumference, we have shown the ability to remove toxic elements from the body as well as lower the blood pressure. So that all comes from the far infrared wavelength that goes the deepest into the body. The mid doesn't go as deep, and it provides significant benefits on inflammation, so it helps to relieve pain. It also helps with joint flexibility and increased circulation. It's hotter. A lot of customers like that, so it kind of boosts the heat and the experience. And then the near infrared is, you know, like your natural Botox effect, right, where it just provides a nice collagen production, helps with anti-aging. We've done a study with wound healing, so we've shown the effect of our specific near infrared on scars and helping make the skin look youthful. What's available on the marketplace is generic infrared, which the way you can differentiate how you know what's good and what's medical grade is the amount of far infrared that's in the product. It's like anything that you look at active ingredient, you want as much as possible. You want as little fillers as you can possibly have. And most products that are out there have between 10% up to 70% far infrared. The rest is hot air, just convectional air. So it's not as effective or efficient when you're in there. Still, you're going to sweat, so there's still some value. Any sweating is better than no sweating, but it's nice if you can provide the use to provide at least 95%, which I would call quality far infrared. 95% of the heat received from the wavelength would be in that far infrared wavelength the entire time that you're in there. Then you know that you're getting a deep penetration, you're increasing your core temperature, you're starting to the caloric burn, all the benefits that we talked about. And then third, there's full spectrum, which blends the near, the mid, and the far together. And with the full spectrum, Sunlighten was able to boost the quantity of the far infrared all the way up to 99%. So you're extremely efficient. You know, every dollar that you spend is a good use of your time is another way to look at it. And then down here are the 6 programs. This is really nice. Our customers love having the ability to choose what experience they want to have when they come to Sunlight Day Spa. So you can choose cardio benefits, relaxation, detox, weight loss, pain relief, or skin health. You can also do a custom if you want as well, or just have a blend of everything. But we find people, it's that whole addiction. They like to use the same program over and over again because they notice a significant difference. Now we're going to move on to some other areas of things to think about. Again, as you're choosing, okay, who would I want to work with? These are the things that went through my mind of when I was, I've done both sides of the business of picking out what's the right product for us. I also know the pitfalls, I know the advantages, and you really, really want to make sure that that product is commercial grade because it is used all the time, especially on those Fridays and Saturdays where you're booked all day long. You need to make sure it can be used continuously, that the electronics, the electrical, the wiring is thick enough that can withstand that continuous use. There are commercial safety standards that they should be able to comply with. The wood, this is something you may not think about, but a lot of people are sensitive to fragrance. And most woods on the commercial marketplace, with a lot of suppliers like hemlock and spruce and cedar, a lot of woods have a fragrance. And when it's heated, there are some people, not a lot, but there are some people that are very sensitive and they don't enjoy their experience because their entire time they're smelling, the wood versus just having the detoxification experience. So that's very, very important. And then, of course, putting it together. You want to make sure that you're able to do that with ease. Also, for support for your business, is there a dedicated customer care team? And the question I always ask is, yes, you have somebody that you'd work with on your account and your sales, but the person that would do the maintenance on the product should be somebody different than your salesperson because you want your salesperson focused on other areas of your business and helping you, launch the marketability. So there should be able to be a dedicated customer care team that is working on troubleshooting the product if something were to go wrong. We already talked about having a dedicated account manager. Also, the training and education, we found this is the #1 opportunity with our own staff. I mean, I'm constantly going downstairs. Our day spa is on the second, or Sunlight is on the second floor, and the day spa is on the first floor. So I'm constantly going downstairs and meeting with our staff and helping remind them of, ways to educate the consumers and ways to recommend, post-massage. You should probably now use the pain relief program, for an example. And it's important that you have a company that will guide you in that regard. And then, of course, being able to promote the product and have the marketing support. You want to make sure, again, I talked about this a little bit earlier, so this is a little just a reminder of the commercial experience working with how I always think of it is there's so many day spas that are so much busier and larger than Sunlight Day Spa. I have an aspirational that I want to be like a lot of those. So I want to work with products and companies that work with other day spas that are better and bigger and more grand than ours. So they have that experience to help us get to the place that I want to take Sunlight Day Spa. And then also, will you have the consumer demand? It's really important. You don't really want to be doing what we've been doing for the past 15 years, which is growing consumer demand. You want to piggyback off the demand that's already out there. And that's one of the advantages now. Full Spectrum has been on the market for a while, but you want to make sure that you're coming into the trend where it's taking off versus starting it. And we have done, we're on the Oprah Winfrey Show, we're on the Doctor Show with the Full Spectrum and Dr. Oz, and you can, read this collection of experience that we were featured on. We were just in a Autism Parenting magazine, so it also goes through a broad scope. It's not just the celebrity type shows. It reaches other health and wellness publications as well. I'm going to turn it now over to Sarah Wickens, who has the day-to-day operation experience and works with businesses just like yours every single day.
Thanks, Connie. My name is Sarah, and I have been working with commercial facilities for the last 7 years. Specifically, the last 4 of those years, I have been working with the Full Spectrum infrared therapy. And the 5 things that I'm going to cover, as well as your question and answer, is 5 topics. We're going to talk about designating a space for the sauna, figuring out how to price it, educating your staff, which Connie kind of touched on, and maximizing revenue with retail products. That's huge for every spa, is moving product. And then also marketing this as a new service. I wanted to take a minute to show you some photos from our day spa downstairs. It's kind of hard to tell because you're at bizarre angles and hallways taking these photos, but the importance of this slide is to show you how you can create a sauna room out of a little niche in the hallway, a little cutoff into a space. I mean, we literally created space where there was none to accommodate 3 saunas in the day spa. Depending on which size sauna you go with, you can use something as little as 13 square feet. I do want to point out to the left picture, you can see that we basically just created a soft wall in the front using a curtain for privacy, and really that's just a little cutout in the hallway. And then if you look to the picture at the right, you see there's that first sauna in the forefront, and then there's a second one down the hall where the curtain is closed, and then the third one is at the very end of the hall. 2 of those rooms are 7 by 7 rooms, 7 feet by 7 feet. 1 room is 8 by 5.5 feet. So it's important to know that you can find room, you can make room in your spa for something like this. All 3 units, as Connie mentioned, are going to be booked during our peak hours. So that goes back to the importance of, you know, possibly having multiple units so that you're never having to turn anyone away during those hours. Here's a few more pictures, just kind of showing you creatively what different spas have done. One of my favorites is the one on the far left. That's a 3-person sauna in our full spectrum line. What they did was literally just set the sauna in place, assembled it right there, and then they created, it's kind of hard to see in the photo, but just to the left there's a curtain that they created for a little dressing space. So it's just the amount of space you would need is like a dressing room, and they connected it to the sauna. So you have this dressing space, this private dressing space, and then you just walk right out and walk into the sauna. And even though it's not in its own room, they also hung a curtain where the door is so that you can have privacy and kind of create that secluded experience. These are some other locations all over the world. We are an international provider. We have spas all over Europe and Australia, and here's some more examples of what they've done with their units, building them in. You don't have to, but you can, and also just offering it as a standalone piece of furniture. And the last slide on designating the space, what I want to touch on is our solo system. This is not full spectrum, it's just the far infrared. However, it is excellent for small spaces. You can see in the top left photo that it's designed to fit on a massage table. So if you already have a room with a massage table that you're using for other things, you can offer the sauna to clients after a massage, after a facial, and you can just place it on top of them. You can lift it up off the floor and place it on top of the table for them. So you can get multi-use from your rooms. It can be a massage room, a facial room. It can also be a room for the sauna. That room, just as an example that you see it in there, that room is the 8-foot by 5.5-foot room, and that sauna generates about $1,500 a week, just that sauna alone in that space. And there's some additional photos to see what different clients have done. Oh, sorry, I didn't switch the slide for you to see the photos we were talking about. There's this portable solo system in the top left and the bottom left. You can see in the bottom left they put it on what I think is probably something that they built, like a platform with drawers for storage that they built. The one in the top left is on the massage table in Sunlight Day Spa. This is where we kind of get into the guts of pricing and generating the revenue. What you should know is that a typical sauna session, a typical infrared sauna session, is anywhere from 30 minutes to 45 minutes long. What we recommend across the board, again, every market's a little bit different, but if you're offering just far infrared, you want to look at charging about $1 a minute. If you are going to offer full spectrum, you should be charging more. They're getting more. They're getting 3 wavelengths of light instead of 1. So they're getting a more personalized, more customized session. So you should be charging more like $1.30 to $1.50 a minute. This chart shows you some examples of what you're looking at for just individual sessions based on that price range from about $1 a minute all the way up to $1.50 a minute. And you can see at the far right of the chart, even at the minimum, if you went with the far infrared and you're only charging $1 a minute, and you're selling 8 sessions a day, as Connie mentioned, which is a Monday, you're still looking at $100K in a year. Some of the things I'm going to get into a little bit more, there are some additional streams of revenue that I highly recommend to all my commercial customers because these accessories and products are designed to be used with the sauna, but they also can be used outside in the real world, at the gym, or if people are into Pilates or yoga. There's a lot of these products can be used outside of just using them with the sauna. And this is just a short little touch on what you can see with the different products that we offer. The $2 is an example of what it would cost to use the Pure Sweat Cream during a sauna session. We have chromotherapy, which is colored light therapy, and people will pay extra to access that. We also charge an extra $5 for access to the Sound, which is acoustic resonance therapy, another enhancement to the sauna experience. And then you can also do a combination of the two. This is a very, very exciting slide. This is all about the body wrap trend. Obviously, you guys know body wraps are huge. Weight loss is huge. Inches lost is huge. People want that opportunity to lose weight and see instant results. Using the body wraps with our infrared saunas has been a huge trend. And what we've done, for example, down in our day spa, you can offer it as a session. This kind of breaks down offering it as a session versus offering it as a package. You would use the weight loss program. As Connie showed you earlier, there's 6 preset programs to choose from. One of them is a weight loss program. You would use the weight loss program. You can use the Pure Sweat to cover their entire body, wrap them, and then put them in the sauna. You can also offer the use of a heart rate monitor so that they can actually monitor how many calories they're burning on the screen real time. So there's examples here. What you would see for one session would be around $59. You're looking at a margin of 96%. What most places are going to offer is packages. But what we've seen in our clinical studies is the use of packages over 6 to 8 weeks. So you can see here that if you offer it as a package, you can sell them a jar of Pure Sweat. You can sell them their heart rate monitor so they can use it elsewhere. And you're looking at a 68% gross margin. The next thing we're going to talk about is educating your staff. And again, Connie kind of touched on this a little bit. We offer a marketing kit, which I think is completely invaluable, especially if you're going to do full spectrum because it is such a unique product. You want to make sure that everyone in your staff is on the same page. They should know what infrared is and be able to talk to clients about it. They should be able to explain that it's safe. They should be able to talk about contraindications, how it works with the body. They should be able to talk about the health benefits, especially, again, if they get the full spectrum, they need to be able to talk about the different benefits of the different wavelengths and how to suggest different programs or different settings for the client based on their health goals. You also want them to understand how to upsell the Pure Sweat cream, the chromotherapy, the Sound, using the heart rate monitor to look at calories burned. You want them to be on the same page with all those things. You also want everyone there to know how to use the sauna, cleaning it, maintenance, and I'll touch on that a little bit further. And going back to retail products, here are some photos of products that you can actually offer as retail items in your spa. There's the Pure Sweat cream that comes in a scented and unscented option. That sells for around $59 a jar. Bamboo carbon towels. These towels here are completely unique to Sunlighten. They offer a bamboo carbon fiber that actually helps to produce additional infrared. So rather than just your generic towel that keeps your sauna clean or that people use to wipe down with, this towel does all of those things, but it also enhances the amount of infrared heat that's being produced inside the sauna. What's really, really popular is the floor mat. People put the floor mat down so that you protect the floor of your sauna, but you're also not blocking that infrared heat that's coming up from that floor heater. To the right are the biofeedback accessories, including the heart rate monitor, so that people can monitor their heart rate while they're in the sauna. We do sell an infrared heating pad that also can be retailed for around $600 through your space. It can also be used as an additional enhancement to facials, to massages. It fits on a massage table. It works well with the Solo system, but people will buy the pad on its own for pain relief. We also have the toning kit, which is, again, another product that's excellent for use inside the sauna. While you're using the sauna, you're sweating more, you're burning more calories, you're further increasing your core body temperature, you're working out, but you can also use the kit outside of the sauna. You can use it at the gym or at home. This is yet another way to generate additional income beyond that 100K that you can get from the sauna alone. This is just a more specific breakdown on the Pure Sweat. So there's basically 3 ways that you can generate income with the Pure Sweat. You can add the Pure Sweat to a sauna session, which we showed in the Tighten and Tone with the body wrap. You can sell little cups, little samples of it that you would make from the jars at about $2 a piece. You can also retail the jars themselves at $59 a jar. So below you can kind of see a breakdown on just the Pure Sweat alone. Let's say you invested in just 20 jars of the Pure Sweat. Your volume pricing would be around $29, so you'd spend about $5.89. If you took just one of those 20 jars and created samples from it, you would be able to take there's about 60 applications in a jar, so you would get about 60 samples. You sell those at $2 a piece. You're making $120 off of one jar, and then the other 19 jars that you purchased can then be retailed at the $59 price point. And there you're looking at a total of around $1,100. So your net revenue from your 20 jars that you purchased is $670. Just the icing on the cake. As Connie mentioned, a big part of my job is helping you market this as a service. There's no need for you to reinvent the wheel. We've been doing this for 15 years. We have our own day spa. We're in over 3,000 commercial locations, so we know what works, and we can help you with that. So there's really 5 different things you kind of want to focus on in terms of your marketing. You really want to utilize our website. And as part of the marketing kit, you get access to all of our online marketing materials, the clinical studies, the articles, the videos, everything. As Connie mentioned, from a everyone's doing it standpoint, you can use verbiage like, as seen on the doctors or as seen on Dr. Oz. All of that stuff is available to you through our marketing kit so that you can pass that along to clients. You really want to utilize social media. What I've seen to be tremendously successful for the businesses I work with is using Facebook and Twitter to offer their products. And a lot of places will start off with Groupon. It's not necessarily something you want to do all the time, but just when they very first offer the service, Groupon's a great way just to get people using the unit. And what I want to point out here is some really great signage from a day spa that we have down in Australia. This is the kind of signage that can be available to you for you to hang in your spa. And Connie had mentioned this earlier, purify your body and your skin will follow. Kind of giving a little glimpse to people on, how it works to be healthy from the inside out and the value of infrared. Again, the sunlight is the addiction you can feel good about. That actually comes from that spa in Australia. They did a really great job with that. And that actually concludes the end of our webinar, but we have lots and lots of questions to look at. Let me scroll up here.
Okay. I'll also do the first one so
Sure.
you can kind of look through. One of the first questions is what makes a sauna safe for commercial use? And I also saw down here earlier asked questions about the difference between a residential and commercial sauna. So I will address, basically there's about 3 different criteria. One is the quality of the wood, the thickness of the wood. One is the electrical, and the last would be the wiring. So the wood, Mighton specializes in the commercial products, and our wood is much thicker and heavier because we want to make sure that you may have multiple people sitting inside there at the same time, and you want to make sure that the bench is built to withstand that. For example, a specific example is a lot of far infrared, specifically products on the marketplace that are built for residential use. They range from 200 to 400 pounds, 400 at best. Ours are between 500 to 1,000. So there's a significant difference in the weight of the wood and the grade of the wood as well. You don't want it to be buckling. You don't want it to be, having issues with it. As far as the electrical, you want it to be, number one, most important is you want to be able to work with somebody who's electrically certified, and you want to be able to check on that. I would highly recommend that. We send people a lot of times our ETL link to the ETL, which is the Electrical Certification Company. We send them to that company you can type in to Mighton, and it pulls up our electrical certification so that we have been through that testing. A lot of the residential grades don't have the electrical certification. They just, they don't need it. It's not built for that. As far as the wiring, our wiring is thicker, and you would want to have a product that was able to withstand continuous use. And in the full spectrum sauna, for example, there are two modes. There's a residential mode and there's a commercial mode. When you choose a commercial, it can be left on all day long, and that's what you want. You really don't want to be, especially on those Fridays and Saturdays, where we've had anywhere between 25 to 50 sessions booked all day long, and that's a lot of sessions. You don't want to have to be going in, turning it off, and turning back on. A lot of times, those companies will recommend, the factory will say you need to shut it down, let it cool off for 90 minutes, and then you can turn it back on. And it's really important that for commercial facilities, you don't have that. Hopefully that answers the questions. And then there's other commercial certifications and such as ROHS and some other smaller certifications you want to just check into.
Quick question about our spa. Our spa is located in Overland Park, Kansas. That's where we are now, suburb of Kansas City, and we are out in the suburbs. We'd love to have you if you'd like to come visit. It says you'd be interested in seeing it, and we'd love to have you.
You can also go to sunlightdayspa.com. You want to see a visual of what the Sunlight Day Spa looks like. I will tell you, based on all of when I was researching opening a spa and doing all of the research and development in this marketplace, we are not as progressive in Overland Park, Kansas, as I was looking at the geographies a lot of you all come from. You are definitely a more progressive marketplace. So if we're able to do, these number of sessions, 50-some sessions on a weekend, I'm confident that your market will come and use your product and enjoy it and pass it on to others.
One of the next questions is cleaning the sauna, which is always an excellent question. One of the awesome things about infrared is if you get the high-quality, highly emissive infrared heat, you're killing germs and bacteria naturally. So naturally, good quality infrared heat kills germs and bacteria, and by running the sauna all the time, it's essentially keeping itself clean. In addition to that, we offer a cleaning kit. It comes with a wood cleaner, glass cleaner, sanding sponge, and 2 microfiber cloths to wipe the sauna down with. A lot of facilities, believe it or not, don't necessarily wipe it down after every single client. That's something I ultimately leave up to you and how you want to run your business. But just know that you don't have to wipe it down after every single client. If somebody forgets or you're just too tightly booked, it's not the end of the world. That infrared heat is killing germs and bacteria. And then this also goes back to the bamboo carbon towels. You want to use the towels on the floor and also on the bench to help absorb people's sweat and to have them something to kind of wipe down with that protects your sauna over time.
Another question is, and this is Connie. We'll try and do better at separating so you know who's talking when. This is Connie Zach, and one of the questions is with regard to health and wellness, can infrared be used for someone with lymphedema? And that's an excellent question. I know a lot of hot tubs and other hot environments, you shouldn't do that. However, with the full spectrum or sunlight in specific, I'm not going to comment on any far infrared because that's not what we do. So if you get into the medical grade, 95% and higher, the environment is safe to use with lymphedema. And I have double and triple checked this. My sister-in-law is a doctor, and whenever I need a question, I always go to her. And she said, in effect, sunlightens full spectrum specifically because of the 3 wavelengths would help to increase the circulation and make the person more comfortable. Another question is, this is again still Connie, what are the current hot buttons for different market segments? For example, what are the hot buttons for athletes, senior citizens, men, women? And I will add in their kids as well as another. There seems to be more and more teenagers who are starting to at least come to Sunlight Day Spa. I'm not sure how it is for your facility, but some of the hot buttons, the reasons that people come to use the full spectrum at Sunlight Day Spa is for pain management. We get a lot of recommendations from wellness practitioners in the community that they're going there for other reasons. Know that you really should use a full spectrum sauna for pain. It's excellent, especially having the blend because each wavelength provides a different benefit to the body. The far infrared is at the deepest, the mid is in the middle, and the near is at the surface. It's basically like taking very high levels of nonsteroidals or other pain medications, but obviously not affecting the body in an adverse way. So pain is very, very common. Muscle recovery, Sunlighten did a study with Auburn University on muscle recovery and joint flexibility. So post-marathon or post-even, that's not me, so post-3 mile run, just being able to keep the muscles loose and increase the circulation. For senior citizens, a lot of the times it's blood pressure, and I know my own personal experience, my dad really suffered until he started using, at that time it was called Sunlight Sauna, and his Sunlight Sauna, and it's made a significant difference. And then women, a lot of them come in for weight loss. We get a lot of, pre-wedding, people wanting to lose weight. They'll use the wraps and the full spectrum together, or just, on a weight loss program. Men, same thing. And then we also get a lot of anti-aging, like baby boomers who wanted their skin and their body to look its best. And so they'll use the anti-aging program. That's what's so nice about the full spectrum is you have 6 different options, and visually people like the ability to say, I really want the anti-aging, or I really want the pain, so they know exactly what they're getting. And then we've done all the science and the software behind the scenes to ensure that they receive that. Sarah, do you want to take the next question?
Yeah. I think we touched on personal versus commercial. Oh, good. My favorite question. Do you need to have a shower? You do not need to have a shower. I love being able to tell people that, because if you do not already have shower facilities, do not spend the money and the time and the space on shower facilities. You will sweat like you've never sweat before in a Sunlighten sauna, but it's the same kind of psychology behind having showers at the gym. When people get out, yes, they're sweaty, but as long as you give them a towel and even something small like some moist towelettes or some tea tree oil to wipe down with, or a really cool thing that I've seen a lot of my businesses do is have those tabletop towel steamers and offer them a steamed towel to wipe down with when they're done. Very refreshing. It feels great. You get the sweat off the surface of your skin. You can get dressed and go about your business. Most people do not use showers. Most of our 3,000 commercial locations that we have do not have showers. As you can imagine, like a lot of the medical offices, they don't have shower facilities. And it's not even something that people really ask about. They're good with just kind of taking a little bird bath afterwards and going on with their day.
I'm going to have Sarah answer this next question because she is the expert. There is anybody that's better than Sarah at Pure Sweat and how, using that to monetize and increase revenue with the full spectrum sauna. And so there's two questions. One is, what exactly is Pure Sweat? And then the next one is, does one application of Pure Sweat cover the whole body? How many applications from one jar? So, Sarah.
So the Pure Sweat is it's a vasodilator, and it's a cream that you can use in one of two ways. You can put it all over your body, and it's kind of hard to say how much one application covers in terms of your whole body. It ultimately depends on the size of the person, but an average adult female should be able to get 60 full body applications from one jar, and then there's a little bit of gray area just depending on the size of the person and how much you put on. A little bit goes a long way, and it's not meant to be like a lotion or an oil that you rub into the skin. You're kind of creating almost a barrier on top of the skin that helps you to further increase your core body temperature. Our sauna is clinically proven to raise core body temperature by 3 degrees. The Pure Sweat is going to help enhance that experience. And when you get that increase in core body temperature, you get the additional calories burned, you sweat more, and you detox faster. You can also use it just on trouble areas. It's really, really great for slow to respond areas, cellulite, thighs, buttocks, for men, the belly. So it can be used in different spots on the body as well. Am I answering the question? Mm-hmm. Okay. One thing I want to mention about the Pure Sweat is that it came from the athletic industry. It came from professional athletes. It is something that has been used for about 35 years by professional athletes to get more out of their workout. So it's something that obviously we use to enhance your sauna session, to sweat that much more, to burn that many more calories, to detox that much faster, but it's been used by athletes. We're talking about like UFC fighters, weightlifters, Olympian athletes, triathletes, and it just is a perfect complement with the sauna because, again, they'll use it in the sauna and then they'll want to take a jar home because they can use it at the gym, at their Pilates class, running, swimming, whatever kind of physical activity they do. And this is an all-natural product. Just by the way, the ingredients are acai berry, vitamin E, aloe vera, sunflower oil. It's all very natural, and we have a scented and an unscented option for both men and women. And the scented is kind of like a rose light scent. It's really nice. It's a really great product, and I've seen it specifically with spas, especially with the whole weight loss trend. I've seen it move off of shelves really fast.
Okay, this is Connie. As far as somebody asked if we'll be at the Las Vegas convention this weekend, and we have attended that show. I think you're probably talking about the International Aesthetics show, which we have attended many times in the past. We will not be there, but we will be here available via phone. You can contact Sarah or myself, or if you have questions, and we're happy to walk you through how Sunlighten specific products will compare to. I'm sure there will probably be a farm for a sauna there. There usually is. So we're more than happy to share that with you. Sarah, there's a question here about insurance. Mm-hmm. How about insurance for the sauna? Most exclude?
I think that might be liability insurance for the spa.
Are you talking about liability insurance? Okay, we have the name of the person. We can follow up with you individually. We don't have any issues at all, and we have, like I said, we have 3 full spectrum downstairs in Sunlight Day Spa, and we also offer massage and aesthetic services as well. We've touched on the shower. There's a lot of questions, and I'm trying to make sure I get to all of these.
There was one about the chiropractic clinic. That is huge. I could do a whole nother webinar on offering the saunas for chiropractors. They're next to spas, some of my most plentiful customers. This is excellent. It is generally accepted as a cash service in a chiropractic office. This is something that a lot of chiropractors are using because of pain relief, obviously, but they're also getting a lot of requests for weight loss programs and weight loss inquiries in chiropractic offices as they're more integrative. So the sauna is excellent to do in conjunction with weight loss programs that are offered. And having it there in a medical office, as I suggested before, you don't need to have any kind of showers or really anything different than you would in any other type of scenario. You can even make it so that your clients bring their own towels. So if you're a medical office and you have no need for, offering a towel service, you don't need to do that.
Sarah, again, I'm going to refer this to you. This is Connie. It says, thank you. How would we access the marketing kit? And it's available for purchase when you purchase the Sunlighten. And I think you have something. Are you offering something special?
Yes. I don't have any details on that quite yet, but we will definitely make you aware of the special that we're going to be running. It's going to involve the marketing kit. It's something that you can purchase directly through me, again, with the purchase of a Sunlighten sauna, but we are going to be offering a special on it that's to be determined.
Right. And since all of our materials, our marketing materials, are unique, to Sunlighten, because there is such a big difference between Sunlighten's far infrared and the other types of far infrared on the marketplace, then we do, it is exclusive to Sunlighten owners, because as consumer, we don't want to mislead a consumer that they could, for example, lower their blood pressure or increase their core temperature when that may not have been studied with a far infrared that has less quantity than 95%. Hopefully that is making sense. If not, call me. Okay, the next question. Oh, there's the chiropractic. Can you address how chiropractic clinics are offering the sauna? Another question about the shower, and Sarah addressed that. When adding a service, would you recommend using the sauna before or after the service? And it does depend on the service.
That's a great question, because one of the things that I love to be able to offer the spas is the idea to do both. Our day spa, the massage therapists in our day spa love putting their clients in the sauna just for 5 minutes before their massage. Mm-hmm. Get them calmed down, get them relaxed, get them in that space of, okay, I'm going to be here and I'm just going to turn my brain off for an hour or so. And don't get to the point where they're necessarily pouring sweat, because, massage therapists doesn't want to work on somebody who's covered in sweat. But just get their muscles warmed up, get their blood flowing. It makes the experience for the client so much more amazing. They relax that much faster, and it makes the massage therapist's job a lot easier. So what I recommend is offering a 5 to 10 minute kind of intro session before a massage, and that can be, like maybe a $10 add-on service, and then offering the full service, the full 30 to 45 minute service after the massage.
The next question is, what are the temperatures in the sauna? And that varies. Well, all we have downstairs is the full spectrum. We changed that when the consumers drove that. We originally had Sunlighten far infrared, which is called our solo or a signature, and then when we had one of the full spectrum, everybody wanted that, and we charged almost twice as much So there was a difference. We charged $55 for the full spectrum, and we charged $35 for the signature, the solo, and everybody went to the full spectrum. The temperatures that are in there, when we're in commercial mode, we use the programs, and each program is different because it's developed specifically to the result. So it ranges. There's a wide range. For example, I'll give you a specific example. The anti-aging program, which is heavily weighted on the near-infrared aspect of it, is going to be much cooler in there because it's focusing on building collagen, and so it doesn't have as much mid-infrared in it. So that will be much cooler than the cardio, for example, which is focused on, burning calories as well as increasing circulation. So it's a range, between 100 and 145-ish, and again, depending on the program, and it's all based on intervals, and it's not a static temperature based on the software. Another question is
support outside of the U.S. We are an international company, and so I actually am working with someone in the Cayman Islands right now, and we do provide the support that you would need. The thing to know about our saunas is that they are, I guess, self-contained is a good word. They're incredibly easy to assemble. They come in 6 flat prefabricated panels, and all you're doing is putting together a box. So this is not like other spa equipment that you have where it has to be put together by a representative of the manufacturer to keep your warranty. It's nothing like that. We designed these so that anyone could put them together on their own. It's a 6-paneled box that you're assembling. We use magnets. That's something that is exclusive to Sunlighten. We have magnets inside the walls of the sauna that really pull the walls together and make it really easy to assemble. And for servicing the sauna, parts everything's modular and prefabricated, so you can pop out a heater on your own and replace it on your own. So if you happen to be in an area where, outside of where we might have any technicians, this is still something that we can walk you through and you can easily do on your own.
There's a great question. This is Connie from somebody who says, as a day spa owner, do your clients have problems being in the sauna at the same time with others? That's a great question. And this goes back to my greatest insight that I'm trying to pass along to you all today, is to add, when you're starting, if this is your first, venture at this, is to add multiple units, at least 2. You don't have to, add 3 at the same time. But because I wish I would have done that to start. People, we found very quickly, did not want to be in the sauna with another person, and so that was one of the reasons we just basically had a large room, and we just basically divided it in half, and then put curtains and then added two at that time saunas, so that we can have multiple products. And we even find that even husband and wife or girlfriends or sisters, we do a lot of parties, and that's one of my favorite things about having the full spectrum is it's another thing, like while some people are doing massage and some people can be doing the sauna, some people can be doing, facial, and then you rotate it, and so you have many other things to offer, and which also allows you to increase revenue. You will get to your $100,000 revenue much quicker, I assure you, if you have 2 units versus 1, because you're not doing everything around this one unit. It explodes when the more units that you have. You will always have, they will at least be filled during those peak times, and then, of course, sometimes you have the slow days, but then, like I said, the Fridays and Saturdays. I just pulled up Saturday before I came in here, and we had 25 sessions booked this last Saturday in June in Overland Park, Kansas. So just to give you a glimpse of our books, and I'm happy to share more with you privately as well. I have nothing to hide.
Just to touch on that too, most of what you see in the pictures, and this is definitely bestsellers as far as really most any of our facilities go, most people are going to get a 2 to 3 person size, so that they are comfortably accommodating one person at a time. We do have a one-person size, but most people, whether they're in there by themselves or not, people want to be, if you're in there for 45 minutes, you want to be able to turn sideways, you want to stretch your legs out on the bench, you want to be able to lay down, even if just partially, and be totally relaxed and comfortable and have plenty of room to do all of that. So in order to accommodate people of all shapes and sizes, you want to have a 2 to 3 person, not because you're going to put 2 to 3 people in the sauna at the same time, but you want to provide one person with enough room to really stretch out and be comfortable.
Is it okay to use the sauna after a facial? For the full spectrum, I will use the skin program. It's one of my favorite things to do, but I wouldn't do the cardio. So, what I would do is package and name the packages accordingly. And that way, like a collagen boosting, facial, and then you also do after the facial, you do the sauna. You can also do it before. But if you're doing a microdermabrasion or something like that, then, you still could use the skin program, but I would probably, stay out of the heat. So it just depends on the service that you're providing. Another question is, how many days per week can they safely use the sauna? They can use it every day. What I tell people is this is where you need to listen to your body. Sunlighten's technology, as we've discussed, is extremely intense. It's high-quality medical-grade products that can, help you lose weight and lower blood pressure. I mean, that's a big deal to do that while you're just sitting there. So you need to take that seriously. And if you, get lightheaded or, feel weak, then you need to stop, and get out. That's just something you just need to let people know when they come in. And then I also saw the question on that same note that said, do you take an intake form? And yes, we absolutely do. Does someone with a medical condition need a doctor's release form? No, we don't. There's no reason that they would need a release. Most of the time we get the other side. We get the doctors who recommend, especially like post-surgery or, for rehabilitation. There's such significant advantages to using the full spectrum after a medical, after something specific like that. Another question here is the Armana, which is made from us. Sunlighten made the Armana when we were under the Sunlight Saunas name. We changed our name after Sunlight Saunas was asked to be on the Oprah Winfrey Show. It's something that I wish we would have done before the Oprah Winfrey Show because it was just so busy. But we're a global wellness company, as I said, and we specialize in all wellness products. We have acoustic resonance therapy and light therapy, and with lots of different products. So we wanted to make sure that our consumers knew we were broader than just the sauna. So we just moved from Sunlight Saunas to Sunlighten, Empowering Wellness. And the Armana was a product that we had before the full spectrum. So that's still a very high quality. It's a medical grade far infrared line, but it does not contain the mid infrared and does not contain the near infrared and does not contain the 6 preset programs, nor the ability to watch your calories burn on the screen inside the full spectrum, which is another advantage of the full spectrum, to see how many calories you're burning as well as monitor your blood pressure. Do you recommend let me finish the question, sorry, this is Connie. Do you recommend the sauna before or after colon hydrotherapy? And there's a local colon hydrotherapist here that has been using Sunlighten's product for years. She came by to visit, and she says that out of all of the things she does in her office, this is the one using the Sunlighten product is the one thing that's consistent. Every single person that uses it notices a difference. And she just gave me goosebumps when she was talking about the significant differences she's delivering to patients as a result of using the product. She does it the very first thing, and it's part of her protocol. You come in, no matter what condition you're coming in from, she always starts them off the first thing in the product, in the Sunlighten sauna. So and she's had, like I said, great results from that. This is a very important question. Thank you, Christina. Says, some of these slides were so informative and I would like to share them. Will you send them to my email? And this will be sent out, a recording of this, and we can also send them to your email as well.
I think we should be able to send them to individuals, but I know that American Spa has recorded everything and are going to make it available to people who couldn't make it today.
Yeah, definitely. The recording will be available on AmericanSpa.com, and I'll even include a link to the slide files, too.
Here's another great question from Colleen. Excellent question. Do you have to start out with less time per session and build up to staying in longer? And that would be part of, I would gather that information on the intake form to understand if somebody's had a particular medical condition or if they're coming in from a physician. So I would monitor that based on the information I receive. But just as a standard, everybody is able to start off with the program. And each program, you know, it varies a little bit on the time. So they don't have to change that unless they have, you know, unless they're extremely ill and they have other very, like a condition such as, you know, if they just went through cancer treatments, we do a lot of cancer treatments, and, you know, they may want to start off do just 15 minutes, you know, versus a full. Same thing with kids. We get this question a ton with kids. Our rule of thumb is 1 minute per age. So, you know, if they're 15 years old, 15 minutes, because kids' metabolism is so much faster. Their core temperature is already, I mean, it doesn't take much to increase their core. As far as the cost, there's a question here. Again, we can just discuss that individually versus going into, we have so many different models and many different types of woods.
I think what they might be asking is energy costs,
okay,
because I get that a lot. Energy costs, that's another piece of great news I love to deliver. These are very, very, very energy efficient. If you look at the different products on our website and you look at the wattage, a lot of them are about the same wattage as a hairdryer. So let's say best case scenario, let's say you're open 6 or 7 days a week, you're running your sauna, you know, 8 to 10 hours a day. You could expect at the end of the month that your electric bill would have increased by maybe $40. So very, very energy efficient. I mean, your electric bill in regards to the sauna would be paid for with one sauna session, basically. And that's really regardless of size. Whether you get a 1-person or a 5-person, you're looking at about 10 to 15 cents per kilowatt hour.
About cost. Well, another question, I think I saw this twice. So there's questions, Connie, about repairs. You know, where do we go? We have a dedicated customer care team here in our facility that also has relationships with technicians in, you know, all over the United States and beyond. 90% of the time, they are able to, if you have, you know, an error code on something, or if a heater, you know, you felt like, oh, a heater, that particular heater wasn't working, they can troubleshoot that with you, and it's usually a very, very easy, an easy fix. If it's not, and we need, you know, it's beyond their ability to talk you through, we need a technician to come in. We do have resources in a lot of the areas, but that's very, very rare. We've seen it all, and especially having, you know, 3 units in Sunlight Day Spa and using them all the time, we know what, you know, typically would go wrong, and we know how to fix it quickly. Oh, there was also a question here is there a warranty on the unit? Absolutely, there is. The commercial warranty, it's different on different parts of the elements, but the majority, the heaters, which is the most important part, is in the cabinet 5 years, and then It also varies on the model, so let's just talk about full spectrum for a second. The LCD control panel is 1 year fully covered, and then we also have my favorite thing, which is, what is our name for they're like protection pack. If you can,
the warranty package.
I love that. You can buy a warranty package that has the 3 most important components of the product, so that way you have it on hand all the time. If something that goes down, since this is a revenue generator, you know, you're going to earn at least $100,000 from the products. You want to make sure you have something to be able to replace quickly, put the product back up. I highly recommend that. It still will send you a replacement, so it's still under warranty, but it just protects you on those situations, because I know I've been there myself. The cost will handle individually. There's another question about that. And Sarah, did you cover the average cost per day as far as just using that? There's a question here about what is the highest temperature. I'm asking because I have something that goes to 140 and something that goes to 180. That is very different than Sunlighten's products in the far infrared and the full spectrum. I'd prefer to talk to that offline just to explain, because it's the hotter the heat, a lot of times that affects the quality of what the consumer is receiving. In order to make these transformations that we've talked about, you need to have, again, the medical grade technology, and it's not hot air. Like, that's not what's going to transform the body. So I'm more than happy the person that asked that, I'm more than happy to talk to you about that offline and to explain where Sunlighten's products would fit in and how they're different than what you're currently offering. There's a question here. I just don't understand the question. So if a person asks this, if they can re-ask it or contact us, it says, what about facial services? And I'm not sure if we cover that. I want to make sure and address that. You can use, as we talked about, the full spectrum, and I highly recommend using it in combination with facial services. You can use it before and after. I do both, and it just depends on what type of facial service I'm having done. If it's just a signature, just a regular, kind of cleansing facial, then I will typically do the sauna right after, and I will do the anti-aging, the skin program. If it's something more abrasive, then I would definitely do it beforehand. But I love also doing it after a massage as well. Highly recommend it. It makes the massage, it extends the quality of that massage, and people walk out feeling they got their money's worth. You've just made yourself look so good, and they just have I love seeing them. My dad was just in today. It's his Father's Day gift, and he walked upstairs and they just had this glow on him. He did both. He did the massage, and then after the massage, he did a 40-minute full spectrum session. What kind of advertising do we do? A lot of our business comes word of mouth. We do have a lot of, and this is what would be benefit to you, is we have a lot of commercial locations as well as health experts who own our product and use it. For example, Dr. Perricone, who most of you know from the skin world, and Dr. Mark Hyman from the integrative medical world, Chris Carr, who's a cancer survivor. So a lot of them will frequently blog or send out a note about the fact that they, recommend Sunlighten, and we piggyback off that consumer demand. We try and attend some shows. We've been really busy in-house, so we haven't been able to. I saw somebody else ask about another show. And we will not be there. We will be in Overland Park, Kansas. But again, we can manage. We're the preferred vendor of a lot of national businesses, and we manage it all here from our headquarters in Overland Park, Kansas. We can come out at the time, if that's necessary, to visit and walk you guys through everything, or we can just do it, over the phone as well. Sarah is going through all the questions to make sure. It looks like we covered everything. If there's anything else, do not hesitate you see here Sarah's phone number is 877-292-0020, extension 153. My extension I will give you is 113, the same toll-free number, and my email is czak, Z-A-C-K, @sunlighten.com. You are more than welcome to email me or call me. If Sarah is not able, she's can't reach her, I am more than happy to just, there is.
I'm going to talk.
You can talk about that.
Talk from personal experience on one of these questions that we missed about halfway through. It says, can you talk about the wound healing benefits and what kind of wounds? I had my gallbladder taken out a couple years ago. It was kind of an emergency thing. I mean, it happened very fast in the middle of the night kind of a thing. And emergency room surgeons don't, they're not like plastic surgeons. They're not going to be really careful and discreet about cutting and incisions and wounds. So when I was done, I had it was laparoscopic surgery. So they say it's supposed to be, really minimally invasive, but it still felt invasive. I had 4 1-inch scars in different places across my stomach where they had gone in and out and in and out. And when I first got out, they looked really bad. They looked really, really bad. At the time, the Impulse line was still relatively new to the market. This was in 2010, I believe. And I specifically worked with one of our engineers here in-house to do a little bit of a case study for myself because I wanted to see what would happen specifically using the near-infrared, that anti-aging, wound healing, scar healing wavelength, using it specifically on my scars. And so we decided to treat 3 out of the 4 wounds so that we kind of had a control so we could see how the 4th one responded. And I did 20-minute sessions a day, every single day for the first month, and I started using it pretty quickly after surgery, maybe 3 or 4 days after the surgery. And I went to my surgeon at the end of the 30 days just to check in and make sure everything healed right. He was totally blown away. I mean, I didn't tell him what I did for a living or what I was doing with the saunas because I knew an emergency room surgeon wouldn't really know what I was talking about, but he was totally blown away. He's like, you obviously did something. He said, these scars look like they're a year old, not a month old. They're amazing. And we actually did a little case study showing pictures, before and after photos, and kind of a graph measuring the size of the incisions and how compared to the ones that we treated versus didn't treat. And that's available that I can send out to you on an as-needed basis if you're interested in seeing it. But it was a really great experience.
There's also a question that we missed about cleaning and making sure, as far as linens. As far as linens, that's something that I can follow up with you offline. But we do use the bamboo carbon towels and the carbonized bamboo. When you take bamboo fiber and you change the texture, it gives off an antibacterial and antimicrobial effect, and so it keeps the sauna clean. And then we also have a bamboo carbon body wrap that they go in when they're in there, so that absorbs all of the sweat, and that keeps your product looking new, and it keeps any type of odor and everything out, which is important as well.
Somebody asked about plumbing, and there is no plumbing involved within Sunlighten infrared sauna. There's no plumbing. There's no special ventilation needed. There's no drainage because there's no water or moisture produced. Your sweat is either soaked up by what you're wearing or the towels you're sitting on, or it evaporates into the air.
There's As far as there's a question about, research on the benefits of full spectrum for different medical conditions, we do have information on that. We'd be happy to share. Like I said, there was just a recent study done with Auburn University on flexibility of joints, and we also have a lot of information from people who, have used it for wounds. I know I have received information from post breast enhancements and the scars, any really those types of surgeries, that it really makes a huge difference. C-sections, a lot of that type of stuff, which is great. And then pain management, we have information, and blood pressure, as well as waist reduction. Another question on pricing, we'll follow up with you post-webinar on all the different models and the choices, and there's several different types of wood. We do offer cedar because a lot of people like that, but as I discussed earlier, there are people who do not want a fragrance and may even have, potential adverse reactions. So, we have in our own day spa, we have one cedar to have that for those individuals that want cedar, and then the other two are the basswood, which is the only wood that's not on the toxic wood chart that's on the market. So we've tried all the different woods over the years, and for the non-toxic effect, I would highly recommend the basswood because there is no fragrance, there's no reported adverse events on the toxic wood chart. That's a publicly that's a public document that reports when somebody has an adverse effect. I think that we have, looks like we have covered everything. If we missed something, please don't hesitate to follow up with us individually. We tried to go through all of this as quickly and as efficiently as possible. We really appreciate your attention and your attendance today. We're very, very excited about Sweat Cells, our Sweat Cells campaign, and sharing our knowledge and experience with all of you, and be happy to do it more on an individual level whenever that works for you. Thanks for coming to the webinar today, and that is all from Connie and Sarah from Sunlighten.